Hello. How are you? How are you doing? This is Els Kennedy from Bemis Crafty Corner, and today we're here with this project. This is an ephemera wallet, okay, or an ephemera folio. You know, I like ephemera and I like folios, so I figured I'd put the two together. And so this has 8 pockets. Now this one's not gorgeous because, you know, this is the demo. But obviously the one we're going to make today is going to be a little bit more attractive. There are 8 pockets in here for you to, you know, put your bits and pieces into that you might want to have. This is fantastic to send to somebody as happy mail. You get a nice 1/4 of an inch here to be able to really load this up. And it'll hold quite a bit of ephemera. Also good if you're working on a specific project and you think you might have some pieces you want to use. You could pull those and put them in here and be able to look at that and know what you've got. So we are going to get out a list of supplies and we're going to get started putting this one together, okay? It is a sewing project, but if you do not want to sew this, you can use double-sided tape to adhere these. It's just not going to stay as well, okay? So I'm going to get you a list of supplies and I'll be right back. Okay, so to complete this, we're going to want a file folder. You don't want the thin dollar store ones if you can avoid them. You want these thicker ones. You can use, you know, whatever color you want. I'm going to be using this one today, I believe. You're going to want your paper trimmer, something that'll handle this, and some paper. We're going to be using this pad today, and a sheet of vellum. Okay, you're also going to want a sewing machine. If not a sewing machine, then double-sided sticky tape. If you're going to use double-sided sticky tape, there are a couple of little things that you have to do. Okay, and then you're going to want a pencil, a scrap piece of paper that is about 1 inch wide and at least as tall as the book that we're going to cut. And let's see, what else? Bone folder, scoreboard, scoring tools, adhesive. That's it. All right. So I'm going to clear the desk, get out the trimmer, and we'll get started. We're going to cut the file folder and all the pieces and have everything ready so we can just get started, all right? I'll be right back. Okay, so our finished project here is going to be 8 inches tall by 4 inches wide. So we're going to cut our file folder at 8 inches, getting rid of the tab, okay? Keep that. It's good. You can make tags out of it. All right. So now we're going to make our next cut. Now, the next cut we're going to make is going to be on the side that has the fins. And the fins are these little lines, you know, that do the folding. Let me see if I can see them right there. Those little lines. That's the side we're going to cut off. So we're going to use the fold line, put the fins in, and we're going to cut this to 4 1/4 inches. So we're going to bring it over here, line it up at 4 1/4. We're going to cut this part off, okay? 4 1/4. Take that off, okay? Then on the other side, we're going to take that down to 8 inches, so 8 inches from the fold. So 4 1/4 on the side with the fins, 8 inches on the side that doesn't have fins. Save these. Good tag. That's nothing. Get rid of that. Okay. So you should have a piece that looks like this. All right. Now, I'm going to get rid of the big cutter and get the little cutter because we don't need the big cutter for what we're going to cut. We just needed it for this. So I'm going to get rid of this, and then we're going to get started cutting the rest of the pieces. I'll be right back. Okay. So we're going to cut 8 pieces of vellum here. So the first one we're going to cut is going to be 2 1/2. Now you can do 2 1/4 if you don't want this to be quite so deep of a pocket. that is up to you. But we're going to cut 2 strips at 2.5. And then we're going to cut these at 3 3/4. And then, so that's 4 that are 2.5 by 3 3/4. And then we're going to cut 4 more that are 2.5. And that's about all the vellum we have left on that sheet. Let me put this off to the side for a second because these next cuts are going to be a little bit more precise. And so I want them to be, I want you to see where we're at here. So these are going to be 3 5/8. So we're going to go to the 3.5. We're going to go to the next long mark after that. That is 3 5/8. We're going to cut 2 at 3 5/8. Okay. So you're going right between the 3.5 and the 3 3/4, okay? All right. So now we have those done. We're going to bring this back over because we need to cut the 12 by 12 down. So we're going to cut some mats. So let me bring this over and let's take a look. This is my scraps. Let me see if there's anything in here that I want to use. Oh, that's nice. I like that. And maybe this. So let's see. Let's get the sheet of this. And the sheet with little purple flowers on it, if we can find it. We may have used it all. In which case, nope, we've got one left. Okay. What a deal. All right, there we go. Let's get this out of the way. All right, and this out of the way. There we go. All right. So we're going to cut, mind your pattern on your paper. We're going to cut 6 pieces. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now I think that what's inside should not be very fussy because that's where the majority of your pockets are. So we're going to cut those first, and we want to cut 3 pieces that are, all of them are 7 3/4 inches because our pamphlet is going to be, the folio is 8 inches tall. So we're going to go 3 3/4 by 3 5/8. So we're going to cut these to 7 3/4. Cut this one down to 7 3/4. And then we're going to cut this one down to 7 3/4. And the big one at 7 3/4. Okay, that is it for that one. So 7 3/4, 7 3/4, 7 3/4, 7 3/4. All right. So now we have all of our little pieces. We'll get rid of these pieces. We don't need those. So now we're going to cut our mats to width, and the width that we're cutting is slightly different. Okay. For these four pieces are going to be 3 3/4 inches wide. These ones, though, are 3 5/8 inches wide. So we need to cut one of the inside pieces at 3 5/8. Again, that's the mark between 3 1/2 and 3 3/4. That's one inside. And it's the one that goes on the outside flap. And then we're going to cut the next two for that. And these are going to be at 3 3/4. 3 3/4. 3 3/4. So those are our 3 inside pieces. Then we're going to cut the outside pieces. So the first one on the outside, is this the right piece? No. Well, we didn't cut this one. That's okay. We should be able to make this work. So the next piece is going to be 3 5/8. 3 5/8. And then 3 3/4 and 3 3/4. Okay. All right. So let me turn this one over so you can see. So we have 2 pieces that are 3 3/4 and 1 piece that's 3 5/8. Same thing on this one. We have 2 pieces that are 3 3/4 and 1 that's 3 5/8. Those are our mats that are going to go in here. And then we have our vellum pockets, and we have, let's see, 4 of these that are 2 1/2 by 3 3/4 and 4 of these that are 2 1/2 by 3 5/8. And then we have 1 piece of file folder that is 8 inches on one side, and then the side that has those lines is at 4 1/4. Okay, I'm going to get the scoreboard. I'm going to come back. We're going to get started putting the scores in, and then we'll get this assembled. All right, be right back. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this and put it into the scoreboard. And we're just going to use the scoreboard to score that first fin line. So the first one from the fold is the one we're going to score. And then we're going to take the whole thing upside down, put it in, and this is 8 inches, so we're just going to score this at 3 7/8, kind of like 4. Okay, it's going to be a little bit snug, but we're going to take care of that. So right at 4, go over it about 4 or 5 times. You need to make sure that you're on the out fold side, because you're making a valley and you're going to turn the valley into a hill. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our paper trimmer. We're going to put this in, and then we're going to take a very scant piece like that off of there, okay? It's just to help in the folding process. All right, so that's it for that. We're going to get started on the next step, which is going to be folding this. Let me get this scoreboard out of the way. And so we're going to fold this in, make sure that we line it up top and bottom. And this is that crucial fold. We want to make sure that it doesn't interfere here with this fold. And if it doesn't, then we've done this right. But it should be extended over on the side here. That's because we're going to do that secondary fold. Now, when you're doing this fold, if you want to make sure that it comes out nice and straight, just put your ruler there and then lift up your stock, and that's going to get that crease started for you. It'll make it easier to fold. Okay, so we're going to fold that, making sure it's nice and straight, and then hit it with the bone folder. So we now have a 1/4 inch spine on this side, and this side just folds in, and that is exactly how we want this. Okay, all right, and at this point, if you're going to ink, yeah. If you want to round corners, round corners. Keep in mind though that you can only round this corner and these corners, okay? The rest of the corners really can't be rounded. Of course, once you round this corner and this corner, you're going to have that round in here as well. So if you want to round your corners, and we're going to go ahead and ink this at this point, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about how to get the pockets on, okay? I'll be back. Okay, so now we're going to decide where we want our pockets to go, and that's where that strip is going to come in. So we're just going to line that up on here, and then we're going to figure out where our pockets go. Where do they live? And once we figure out where they live, we're just going to take a pencil and put a line on either side on that strip. And that way, we know where to place them, okay? So I'm just going to draw a line between those, between my top and bottom parts, so that I know that's where they go, all right? So it looks like this. All right. So now when I line up for my pockets, I can just put this here, and I'm going to mark this top. I can just put this here and then take my pockets, put them between the lines, match up my edges, and then I'm going to take some low tack tape and I'm going to make it low tackier. Okay, line this up. A little piece of tape there to hold that in place. And then we're going to move on to the top one. And I'm going to put another piece of tape on this one. I buy that blue painter's tape, you know, and I bought like 4 rolls of it and they just disappear. I don't know where they go. So you can use washi tape for this. Washi tape is a low tack tape. find the one that irritates you the most because it doesn't stick to anything, and that's the one you want to use. So once you have those on there, and you're going to do that with all of them, all but 2. So that's going to be the 2 pieces that are on the outside. So those are going to be the 2 that are going to be on the outside. We're going to put those to the side. But we're going to do all 4. We're going to do the 2 smaller pieces and 2 of the 7 3/4 by 3 3/4 ones. So we're going to put pockets on all of these. All right. And once we have them all taped down, we're going to take them over the machine and we're going to run them through the sewing machine. Now, if you are using double-sided tape, here's the trick. You want to actually make these strips a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch wider so that you can fold them around the back and tape them on the back. And then the only piece of tape that you need on the front is going to be at the bottom. Okay? That's the trick to that. So I'm going to get these done and get them stitched. And then I'm going to come back and we'll put this all together. I'll be right back. All right. So once you have these all sewn on, very carefully remove your tape. You don't want to tear anything at this point. Take your tape off. Now, this is a matter of personal preference, okay? You see these strings? Some people like them. I don't. So what I do is I take my pokey tool, and I come on the back here, and I grab the loop of the front thread, and I bring it to the back, and I just tie a knot back here. And this does a couple of things. 1, it secures it, and 2, it draws that thread from the front and gives me that nice finished look. Okay, now if you don't want that look, then you know, skip this step. But I like the finished look. So all I do is just pull the back. Let me get these separated. I pull the back thread a little bit and it exposes that front thread loop. And I don't know if you guys can see that because it's really small. But right here is the front thread loop. And so I just pull it and it takes that thread through the back. And then, since both threads are now on the back, I can tie them. And I have to be honest, my stop points left me more thread than my start points because I didn't throw a lot of thread out there. And then once I have them down, I just clip them. And it gives me that nice finished look. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to give you a few minutes if you want to, or to finish up any sewing or anything you need to do. And then when we come back, we are going to get these installed. Okay? Oh, by the way, this would be a good time to ink if you're going to ink these panels, okay? Or round corners or anything, you know, floofy. All right, I'll be right back. All right, so the first piece we're going to put in is going to be the front cover. So I haven't done this. So I have to ink all of my pieces. Just because I just don't want that white line, you know. So, outside front cover. I'm lining up on this fold. And then I'm going to turn it over. And it's the very back that gets the other piece, okay? And then the pockets are going to go in. So, let's just very quickly get a little bit of ink on this piece. And then we'll put this on. Now there's no stress on this. That's why I can use the tape. because these two panels have absolutely zero stress on them. Remember, if you're working with anything that's directional, make sure you keep your directions. Again, I'm lining up along one side and the top. And I want to make sure that I get this even top and bottom. Okay. All right. So we have those on there. Now we're going to put these on. Okay. So the odd one goes on the first inside flap, and then the three that match go on the three inside panels. Okay, so go ahead and ink all those up and get started putting them in. Well, no, let's refrain. Get them inked up. Make sure that they're inked, and then we'll start. I'm going to show you how to get these in, so that they stay for a good long time. Okay, so ink everything up, and then we'll be right back here to get this all started. All right, so for the inside ones, and you can do this any way you want. This is the way I recommend you do it. That is double-sided tape down the outsides over the stitching lines. Whoop. And then glue in the middle. Okay, so I got my double-sided tape on. I'm going to press that down. And then I'm going to use my pokey tool. Get this up. Come in. Come in. You can do this. Just trying to be really careful not to pull out my stitching. Okay. 2, 3. Oh, look at that. 4. And I'm going to use a thicker glue on this than I normally would use. So I'm going to use some 3-in-1 on here. We're waiting. It's happening. It's coming down. Here it comes. Oh, there we go. Okay. And I'm actually putting glue over the tape as well. Bottle's getting really thick. Okay. And then I'm just going to line this up. Let me open this because I want this all to be, you know, the same height and all that stuff. Okay. So outside, 2 regular panels, 1 with a tab, turn it inside out, and then you're going to have 3 panels on the inside. Okie dokie. All right, I'm going to get these glued down, and then I'm going to come back, and we're going to talk about the last thing that you may want to do. You don't have to, but you might want to do it. So be careful when you put this middle one in. Remember, you're lining up on that 1/4 of an inch on both of these, okay? All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so this is not totally dry yet, but I did want to talk about closure. So there's a couple of ways that you can close this. One, you could, use like one of these if you wanted to, and just put it on the side, closed. If you didn't want to do this, you could, if you have the bite, you could put a hole here and put a eyelet into that and then run some elastic through, tie a little knot, and you could put an elastic closure on this, much like you would a traveler's notebook. You could just put a rubber band around it or tie it with some lace. It's entirely up to you. If you wanted to sew this, if you wanted to tie this with some lace, you could just put lace on before you put on the front and back panels, and that way you'd be able to tie it. But look at all the space you've got for ephemera in here, right? So that's it, guys. Look, there's the ugly one. I don't know. I just, I have to have something to show. All right, so that's it. That's all I have for you today. If you're new here and you haven't done so already, hit that button, share me, like, all that good stuff. If you want to know what I've got going on, what's coming up, any free classes, things like that, go ahead and check out the community tab here on my YouTube channel, or scoot on over to my Facebook group. There's a link in the description box below. We got a lot of things going on over there, a lot of different fun stuff going on with the group, including our Projects of 23 challenge, which is a monthly challenge, so 12 total this year. And if you would like more information, there is a link in the description box below. Until I see you again, stay well, my friends. Bye-bye.